Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. For today's video, I will take you to a journey through 150 years of public transport history through the REMISE Museum of Vienna, Austria. The museum takes you along the history of municipal transport in Vienna, from an 1868 two-horse open car and 1884 steam tramway all the way through to a subway simulator. This is a horse-drawn tram. It started cruising around the Augarten area in 1840, but was abandoned in 1842. The concept was picked up again in 1865 with a horse-drawn tram cloppeting along a similar route as the tram 43 follows today. After the horse-drawn tram, the steam tramway was on the way. A steam tram motor is essentially a saddle tank locomotive steam motor with 4 driving wheels. A wooden cab encloses the entire locomotive. At the turn of the century, the municipalization of urban services began, and the early electric tramways were introduced. On the 28th of January 1897, an electric tram operated for the first time in Vienna on the tracks of today's Line 5, with a lower noise and odor production compared with horse-drawn and steam tramways. The electric trams quickly became favorites. On the 26th of June 1903, the last horse tramway was ceremoniously farewelled. In 1907, the line designations still valid today, using numbers and letters, were introduced. The steam tramway was able to continue operating its services until 1922 on a few branch lines in the outer suburbs. Up until 1910, the only trams delivered to the Vienna tramway network were vehicles with unglazed platforms or cabs. Example, without any windscreens protecting occupants from the cold and wind. This was still in the tradition of the horse cars, in which direct contact of the driver with the harnessed horses was required. It took until 1930 until the cabs and platforms of all tram cars had protective glass. In 1911, the first double stops were introduced. During World War I, tram operations were increasingly difficult to perform. From 1916, women had to take over part of the work of the male tramway staff engaged by the military. Due to the harsh conditions of the time, operations had to be partially closed down. In 1917, a quarter of all stops were abandoned. On the 16th of October 1925, the Wiener Stadtbahn, which had been taken over by the municipality of Vienna, was absorbed into the tramway network's tariff system. In 1929, the big tram fleet was achieved, and in 1930, the network reached its maximum length, 318 kilometers. In the interwar period, Vienna had more people than today. In 1910, the city reached 2.1 million. After First World War began, the population decreased significantly, reaching its lowest level at the time of the 1991 census at about 500,000. Between the wars, the tramway was virtually unrivaled as a city transport in Vienna. After the Anschluss with Germany's Third Reich, the tramway network was changed on 19th of September 1938 from left-hand traffic to right-hand traffic. And during World War II, tram operations continued for as long as Vienna remained spared from fighting. Its peak haulage on the then still extensive route network was almost 732 million passengers in 1943. That year, 18,000 people found work on Vienna's tramways. Another highlight of the museum are the public transit buses from 1949 to present. If you want to visit REMISE Museum, make sure you allocate 1 to 2 hours in order for you to see everything. The Vienna Transport Museum, which is run by Wiener Linien, is the largest tram museum dedicated to the public transit vehicles of a single city. The purpose of the museum is to provide a complete documentation of all the historical tram cars and buses that have been used in the city of Vienna over the last 150 years. The museum has one of the most extensive collection of the historical vehicles in Europe. Many of the museum's vehicles are kept in working order in its own workshop so that they can be presented on special occasions. Numerous vehicles have been restored and reconstructed by volunteers over the last 4 decades. Despite of the many things you will see inside the museum, the entrance fee is really affordable. For kids 0 to 15 years old is the admission free. Adult has to pay only €8. Thanks for watching and thanks for listening. See you next time. Bye.